It's going to be a fascinating day here today in Washington, more than anything, because we frankly don't know what's going to happen when he arrives here in the U.S. Capitol. As you said, the former head of military intelligence in North Korea is on his way to Washington. We don't even know how and what kind of transport he is using, because remember, in theory, North Korean officials can't even leave the New York area because of sanctions. But he is expected here in Washington, and more important than that, he is carrying something that is going straight to the U.S. president. That is the letter written by Kim Jong-un that will presumably be handed in person to the U.S. President Donald Trump. This means that this is the first time a top North Korean official will be presumably in the Oval Office for 18 years. So we don't yet know how intense these discussions might be. It might just be the handing over of a letter. Nobody knows, because in the White House schedule for today, the public one at least, and anything we know at this point, that meeting is not included. There is no mention of Kim Jong-chol in there. We do know, though, that there will be a meeting between the U.S. President and the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo recently returned also from New York from precisely meeting with Kim Jong-chol, and coming out of that with, it sounds like, relatively optimistic views of that June the 12th summit possibly still taking place. Now, whether Kim Jong-chol, the North Korean envoy of Kim Jong-un, will join that meeting, we simply do not know. But whatever happens at the White House today, it will be pretty historic.
Well, Philip, as you say, when it comes to this summit, it's been on again, off again. Nobody's really sure what's happening. Talk us through, if you will, the main stumbling blocks ahead of the summit.
Well, the first one straight away is that letter that will be brought by Kim Jong-chol, that's written by Kim Jong-un, and will be handed to U.S. President Donald Trump. The truth is, according to the White House at least, that nobody actually knows what is in that letter. It is a sealed envelope, apparently, says the White House. Hence why there is so much uncertainty about this. What might actually be in that letter? Could it lead to the end of negotiations? Who knows what's in that text and what kind of language Kim Jong-un decided to use. Of course, he might base that on what Donald Trump used in his letter, which was relatively unpresidential language, after all, in which he accused the North Koreans of hostility toward the United States. There might also be an openness in that letter toward denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, which is precisely what the United States wants. And that is precisely the biggest stumbling block that we have here. Denuclearization, and what exactly does it mean to both sides? The United States wants denuclearization to be verifiable. It wants it to last forever, essentially. There is still no agreement, it seems, on what exactly that term means to both sides. The North Koreans and the Americans might very well have a very different interpretation of the word denuclearization, and where and how and for how long it would actually happen. That's really the crux of the matter, and that should have been the content of those talks between Mike Pompeo and Kim Jong-chol in New York over the last 2 days. I think today we will get a pretty clear indication as to whether that June the 12th summit in Singapore will actually go ahead or not.